talk about the. I should announce on the tape that I'm talking to Clayton Littlefield in Montville, Maine, and this is November 14th, 1991. I'm Jeff McKeen. And we're going to talk about the Frye Mountain area of Montville in Knox and the farm community that was on the mountain there. And its demise, which occurred back in the 1930s. And you lived, you showed me just now where you lived on the mountain, on the Carter Ridge Road.
Carter Ridge Road, yeah.
But you were what, 9 years old?
I was 9 years old when we moved off the mountain, yeah. I'd been at school 3 years up there when they moved off, when we moved off.
And you went to the schoolhouse that you pointed out?
Right, the Carter School, yeah.
One room
school, yeah.
How many other students were there?
Oh, gee, at that time there was probably 20 or better. It's a pretty good sized school. And just one teacher. She had her hands full.
I think that was a good system of schooling.
Well, the people that went to school then, a lot of them, some of the people that teach in school today, you know, they seem to be doing all right. Yeah. Huh. I mean, I think a lot more of the schools a lot better than now. For one simple reason, if anybody was a slow learner, that they could pick up a lot from the grades ahead of them, you see. Yeah. And that's one advantage that the one-room schoolhouse used to be.
Where'd you move? Where'd your family move to?
They moved to Jackson.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And your father sold the farm to the government?
No, it never had been settled. It was in the Carter family, and more or less, well, mother really should have been the legal heir to it, but I guess they figured it wasn't worth fighting over or something. At that time, I think them places sold for $500-600 like that. But that was a pretty good little house. That had this is one of the older houses because that's the original Carter house. And this particular house there had the old brick fireplace and brick oven and things like that. And once in a while, they'd start the fire up and they baked some beans. They couldn't do it right off. You know, it took a couple of days maybe to bake them. But they used to do it, and that just for the novelty of it. Just
the beehive oven?
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when the other farms were sold to the government, you just pretty much left?
We left there, yeah. We left about 2 years before that, before they were sold.
Because that was happening?
Well, one thing, that was one of the reasons. Another thing, there wasn't any road in there. All around us, they're starting to modernize. There's automobiles and things like that. And as I said before, there's 3 months out of the year that you could use the road up in there with an automobile. I remember the old mailman, he used to have a Model T Ford. That's quite a novelty when he come through on probably the 1st of June of that thing. And that'd be the only car we'd see since the fall before. And Dr. Small used to live here in Freedom. He brought all of us children into the world, the whole 7 of us. And he had a snowmobile, you know, a Model T Ford with a set of legs on the rear, the dual wheels, and a set of runners on the front. And that going up over the snowdrifts, you know. And that's the way he got around them with the time. I remember that. In fact, that was out here at Freedom after we moved down here in 46. No, 45. We moved 45. Yeah.
So the roads were really one of the major reasons.
The major reason right there was the roads. And I told you the Palmer Hill there, where I mentioned that along the 1st of June they'd hire a big crew and shovel that out, and it would be closed from probably the last of October away till the 1st of June. So that's a good idea, the way the roads were used, or maintained.
I was surprised, though, that you said there were telephone wires all through
all through the everybody had telephone back then. Yeah, it was Freedom Exchange right out here. Freedom.
And you don't think that the the electricity was anything that led to the
Well,
abandonment of the area.
The only place that had electricity at that time was in the villages, like Thorndike and Brooks and Unity, and there wasn't really too much
So out in
electricity.
the rural
See,
parts.
Knox Ridge, right up over Knox Ridge, was the first line that's ever strung out in the rural area around here. And they claimed this set of buildings down here where we used to live were the first set of buildings to have electricity in Montville. So that was quite a while. It would have been back in the early 30s, somewhere in that general area.
Right. Huh. It's hard to imagine driving up through there now, except that now you've pointed out to me a lot of the farms, but it was a pretty, there were a lot of farms in that one area.
That was really thickly populated. It was all the Eastmans, and, 2 Walker families, 3 Stewart families. And then you go down in where Conforth and Thompson and Lou Dyer lived on the old Thompson place, did it, Pauline? Yeah. Yeah, so that, I know Lou Dyer was another fellow that used to live in there. And the Conforth place, the Fosters, I showed you where the Fosters were, next to the cemetery there.
And so everybody knew each other and saw each other frequently.
Yeah.
And
I remember when I was a kid, Father used to take the horses in the wintertime and take the sleds and load them up with hay, and a bunch of us get on that, and he'd go down through and he'd pick up other families, and they'd go down to Center Montville to a dance or to a Grange meeting or something like that, and there was a Grange supper or any. That was recreation in them days, It was really good.
And people helped each other a lot on the farms?
Yes, yeah.
Helped with the hay and so forth?
Yeah, that's when they used to help each other, and especially in thrashing time, there's one thrashing machine around, and crew would go from one place to another, they'd take the and then the farmers would pitch in and help the other farmers do the thrashing. They even did that after I moved over to Knox there. I used to run a thrashing machine for Joe Bryant, and we used to go around different farms. But now they do that all right in the field. With combines,
The farms were all, we figured out that most of them were probably built back in the early to mid 1800s, so most of them weren't much more than 100 years old at the time the government bought it. I think that's right?
Some of them farms were back as far as 1787. I think that would be a good, if you could get Bill Terry to go back through the old records down there, he could tell you a lot of them, find a lot of that older places there. But it was for the 1800s that some of them were. I think the Frye place was one of the places for the 1800s.
But in any case, they were all, most of the places were still in pretty good shape.
They were when we moved up there. Everybody was still, everything was going good. I mean, people still living there, but I never did know why the government bought it. I can't, why they really wanted it, but there's some kind of a thing that George Carter got going there, and after a while they got them all to sign up, and the first thing you knew it was gone.
Huh. He had one of the bigger farms.
He had the biggest farm there. He had the biggest farm up in there, and probably the most prosperous.
So it's funny to
See, he moved from there to Winterport, and he had about 30. He milked about 30 head of cattle at the time, and that was considered a real big farm in them days.
Like you were saying, you had 15.
Yeah, there's 15. Right. That was the normal herd.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh. But you don't really know what maybe led him to look into this thing.
Well, the only thing that people ever surmised was just because the town wouldn't do anything to the roads. They'd build roads down South Montville, and they'd build roads everywhere, but they wouldn't build any roads up in this end of town. And that's the main reason that they all moved out. But really, some of them didn't better themselves any, because they, like the Stewart said, they moved right over in here on another mud road.
And the government didn't pay too much for the farms.
Probably $1,500, I would say, would be the most for any of them. Anywhere from $200 to $1,500 probably in that general area.
And they were farms of what? How much land?
Oh, the average farm was 65, 70 acres. The George Carter farm was over 200 acres. And then there's a lot of little small farms.
And half of it was maybe in cleared land on those farms?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's cleared land. You can see the old stone walls while they was cleared, while there's trees, big trees, that big ground growing now.
Right. Yeah. Trees that have been growing since that time.
Since
then,
that
really,
time,
they're
yeah.
2 feet, foot and a half thick. Yeah. You also said that. Well, was it you that was telling me that one of the reasons that those farms were in such good condition was that it was highland. It was well drained. And
You drive up over that Walker Ridge back when I was a kid, and everything on both sides of that road was cleared. It was all open country, all beautiful farm, and it looked just like Knox Ridge as far as view was concerned. It was on both sides of that ridge, and that's farms were laid out. Of course, it was all uphill to the buildings, but that didn't make any difference. They were laid out on both sides of the road. There's a lot of work went into clearing them land.
And they were. It was well drained land, so that they could get on it pretty early.
Yeah, because they didn't do. Hay was the main thing for the cattle land. They didn't hay in oats. They didn't have any oats. It must have been somewhere in the mid-30s or late 20s that they brought the canning factory out here, and people started in raising corn, beans for that. But at the time that we lived up there was no market. Yes, they did. They had market for beets. I remember one year Father raised a half an acre of beets and never got them pulled into the factory. They broadcast them kind of more or less, and they was using them for beet pickles. And I can remember that because I remember we kids we had to help pull them, and it's quite a job.
The farms were different in those days anyway. They were more. You provided what you needed.
Well, there's a family operation, and you provided your own food. Yeah, you had a good garden. Every farm had an apple orchard. Good apples, astracans, and summer apple, and then they had the Baldwins and Ripstone pippins and russets and things like that. All the old apples you don't find the Ripstone pippin. That was kind of a russet apple. You don't find that anymore. But that was the nicest tasting apple I think that ever was. Almost good as a Cortland.
Now, do you recall that some people were less enthusiastic about selling their place than others?
Who was it? There's somebody up that held out. Well, Bellegarde down the place I told you down on Bellegarde Flat, they never did sell.
Right.
But what other place was it up in there? Margaret Rowe bought the schoolhouse lot, and I don't think the government ever bought that. I think she still owns it, but
Margaret Rowe?
Margaret Dingman, yeah. And the
Carter Schoolhouse lot?
Yeah, they bought the schoolhouse and moved it down there where Brown's gravel pit is that's the old Anderson place. They moved it down there, and when they bought it off the town, because I think the town owned the land at that time and the building, but they never sold it to the government for some reason. But because it's on there, probably
just a small lot.
Might be 100-foot square, something like that.
Is the building's not down there now though?
No, the building burned here about 20 years ago. Last year. No, they moved it down there and they built into a.
But I'm just curious as to, some people had a prosperous farm and maybe weren't so concerned about living off the main road and so forth, but they all sold.
Well, Conforth held out for a long, long time. John Conforth did. Yeah, I think he died before the government ever got hold of that. I think that Alice and Conforth and Elizabeth, the girl, I think they sold it after John died. But that was one of the holdouts there, in the Bellegarde place, the only ones I know of.
Well, I always thought of where Rich Poles lives.
Richard Poles.
That seems like would be a likely place to be part of the government land too.
Yeah, they held out there. that was the old Gene Jackson place. Then they held out. He was a brother to this Hub that made the hooch.
Right. Oh, that's right. You pointed out the road that went over to that place then, too, didn't you?
See, that goes down by Pulse's that way. We down on the High Bridge Road.
Yeah.
There was Kane and
Is there anybody left from that family in the area? The
Jackson family?
Yeah.
Albert. What was Albert's father's name? He's dead anyway. Guy was a brother to Albert's father. Oh, well, anyway, Albert Jackson lives down in Monroe still.
Huh.
He might.
Gene Jackson?
Huh?
Gene Jackson?
No, Gene wasn't it?
Is Albert Gene's son?
No, he was the one I can't think of, son. He was a brother to.
But for instance, anybody that was descended from Gene was the one that owned Pulse's?
He owned the place there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nice spot there.
I see they're going through there and with vehicles some now, huh? Going clear through.
So the government came in, what, in the mid-30s, you think?
Well, they come in in 1933 probably. They started in up in there. Well, I don't know when does it must have been later than that because
There was a depression.
it was during the Depression and the CCC board built a lot of them roads. And you told me one time your father worked up in there with the truck.
Men to work up there.
They put men to work up there, and that was in 36 and 37. So it must have been in 1939 is when they burned the buildings.
1939?
It must have been that general area, general time frame there.
It was way before Kyle was born. He
Right.
was born in 36. It was back in 33 or 4, I'd say. Because he worked up there a long time before Kyle was born.
Now, did you live up on the mountain as well, Mrs. Littlefield?
No, we lived in Knox.
Uh-huh.
Over the line.
Over the hill, yeah.
Went through the Knox Road.
Right down just outside of Geneva there.
Oh, yeah.
Top,
Yeah.
where that trailer is now.
Went right over to the mountain.
Yeah, right. It's not far, yeah. So you remember when they burned the places?
Oh yeah.
And did they do it all at once, or?
No, they spread it out over summer. Started in the spring. Rainy days, they'd burn one, something like that.
What did people think when they were burning the farms?
Well, we're burning them. Lovely
They burned them
buildings.
lovely buildings.
They were nice buildings.
See, this George Carter place, well, that wasn't the only lovely place there was up there. All the houses were good.
Yeah.
But the George Carter place, it had all hardwood floors and a hardwood hallway and a staircase and a two-story house. And it was always kept painted just as beautiful whites could be. And it just about a heartbreak to see something like that happen.
How did he feel, I wonder? If he was the one who sort of got the thing
don't
going.
know. I know he made it. There's a lot of hard feelings there for a long number of years. Some of the people feel that he kind of trapped them, into selling out. Painted a rosy picture of what the government was going to do and how you get used. But they didn't get that much money out of the places. Of course, he probably got $1,400, which was, in them days, was a lot of money.
Right, because he had the best place, yeah.
He could have retired on that then, but he
Right.
couldn't retire for more than a week now on it.
What was I going to say? Did anybody consider moving any of their buildings? Why wouldn't they have, if it was the land that the government wanted, if they were just going to destroy the buildings, it seemed like the people that were selling their farms would go in there and...
Gee, I don't know if it's sold.
Why couldn't they have jacked up a few barns and hauled them out of there?
Probably the roads weren't wide enough to get them out.
Yeah, that's probably...
Could have been.
Yeah.
They did start moving the cemetery.
Yeah, they started moving that cemetery up there.
The Foster Cemetery?
Yeah, the Foster Cemetery. They dug we've counted, I think, 11 places, and then was leveled off again after they took the bodies out.
Huh. How did people feel about that?
Oh, I don't know.
Guess they was afraid that they never would be a road even later on.
Oh, yeah.
See,
They moved them off.
after a while, not too many years ago, the government, they fenced that road off.
Uh-huh.
And immediately, I was right on the board of selectmen with it when they did that, and we looked up in some old record somewhere that they had to maintain the road to the cemetery, and they couldn't close it off at all.
Right. That was a law.
Yeah, that was law. And they was kind of surprised when we found it and showed it to them. They knew it, but they just kept pushing, until they see how far they could go. That's actually what was going on there.
In one of the newspaper accounts that I read, I went through some of the old Republican journals at the time, in the late 30s, and to see if I could find any mention of the thing. And I found a few different stories, some in the Montville News section and some just stories reporting on what was going on. And in one place it suggested that the government was going to keep some of the buildings on the mountain. I don't know what for, but that they weren't going to take them all out. But that obviously didn't happen. They didn't keep any of them.
No, they didn't keep a building. Not a one.
It's kind of funny. I mean, nice big barns or something could have been useful for, a headquarters to the park. Or
The Carter place, I had 2 big barns on it.
yeah. Huh.
A big barn, those old-fashioned barns are a thing of the past now. It's too bad that they're all falling down.
Yeah.
Then people, when they built them, they'd build them right on the ground, stand them up with, and pin them together.
Right.
We watched this old house there on TV there on the channel. Boy, that's amazing, the things they used to do. And they're copying it today to keep it going, so people know what happened in years past, how the buildings was built. Some people can't even picture that, can't imagine how anybody build a barn like that and on the ground, stand it up.
Together, didn't they?
Gee,
Families
yeah.
together. 2, 3 barrels of cider.
2, 3 barrels of cider.
And anything can happen then.
Oh, yeah. Well, they had to have a keg of cider to level it with, that's all.
That's right.
They were built pretty good, just the same.
Oh, yeah.
The old house. Now, this old house down here where we used to live, all the studs in it and all the floor stringers were just slabs with one side squared
That's
off.
squared off.
Yeah. That's what the studding is in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Another thing I noticed in the newspaper account was that they suggested that the government was going to pay the town for some of the lost tax revenue.
I think I read this in the original contract that they had with the towns, that the lumber, the wood that they took off in that, the stumpage would be shared with the towns. And well, I know we inquired into that. Well, they come back with there's not money enough to share. There's nothing left after we get it out of there. Of course, that was our way of getting around paying the towns anything for the use of it, for the taxes. But they really should. They should pay a good tax on that land up there.
Must have been a big loss at the time,
Well,
especially.
you stop and think. It's the best part of Montville. It was the best part of Montville. I don't understand why they ever went ahead and do such a thing as that, but it was the only farms in Montville. Actually, every other farm that I've ever noticed in Montville, just a little, probably 8-10 acres, and that's it. Well, of course, down there on that road you live on, the North Ridge Road, there used to be some big farms
There's
in
a few
there.
farms there, yeah.
That 2-story house there, that was a real big place. I don't know who lives there now. Biscoff used to own it. Somebody by the name of Biscoff.
It's rented out now.
Rented out now.
Eddie George owns it.
Eddie George owns a big 2-story house?
Yeah, the brown one. It's painted brown now.
I haven't been through that quite a
That's the
while.
only 2-story one, yeah. He owns the farm, he rents out.
Well, this Bryant place, that Clarence Bryant, I pointed out that place he moved into. Eddie George lives. That's where he moved to from the mountain. Yeah. Oh, yes, and the Mosses. I don't even know where they live, but they moved into the place where the guy from Canada owns that. What's his name? Be up above Walker's.
I don't know any names anymore.
Anyway, that's where Ornamental Moss moved to.
Uh-huh.
Not what,
Yeah,
not
just-
what Crane lived.
Crane.
So the notes I took here on the stories I saw in the newspaper. Oh yeah, in 1936, May of 36, it said that they were going to buy 1,000 acres recreational park, including the farms of Mrs. Christine Stewart, Joseph Bryant, which they called the Foster Farm, George Carter,
Right.
Eli Stevens,
Right.
Stanley Curtis. You mentioned Curtis as we drove around, and then it said. It indicated in the story that Hogback Mountain was considered for acquisition, but the farms were too productive. Which seems
That don't
kind of
sound
funny.
sense.
Doesn't
Bragdon Police Force and
I mean?
Well,
There's not very many farms on the Hogback area.
Hogback area. Charlie Schultz, that wasn't a very big farm. Of course,
And on the
what they-
mountain road, there's that one place.
They might have been talking about the Bean, or Bean's Corner, Waldo and Ed and Waldo Bean, Ed Bean, John Bean, and 3 Bean places.
Yeah.
That was all big productive farms. Of course, they might consider that
They
the
might consider that part of the area.
Hogback Mountain area.
And there's that big one at the end of the dirt road that runs up the mountain, but I don't know. Huh. Seems funny. And then it also said in December of 36, it said the government is going to increase the land acquisition to 2,400 acres. This would remove 1/9 of the town's real estate from the tax books. And then indicated that the government would pay some kind of a sum for the next several years until the town could kind of get over the hump of losing all that.
I don't think they ever paid a cent.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably a good story to tell them
Yeah.
at the time.
Enticing to say.
Make them feel better.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Now, Lee Carter, who you suggested I might want to talk to, is George Carter's son.
George's son. He lives right there on the plains down
Yeah.
in that little yellow house, they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Maybe he'll have some kind of a memory,
He
some
probably-
insight into what led
He might have.
his
yeah.
father to sell. Are you suggesting that Mr. Carter, George Carter, kind of initiated it somehow by?
I know he initiated.
He was the first
He was-
contact with
yeah,
the government?
Yeah, he was the one that went ahead and did all of the investigation and everything.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh. That's funny. And there's nothing else really like this that happened in this area. I mean, it was part of a federal program, I guess, that the government did in other parts of the country. But this is the only one I've heard of around here.
to create jobs for people so they could get them to work. I think that's the main thing they bought it for, was
To-
so they would have a reason to put men to work.
And they put men to work doing what after they bought the land?
Well, they went up there and cleared
Cut
underbrush. Even
right.
made a regular park area out of
Right.
it, part of it.
Boy, it looks far from it today, don't it? Up in
Yeah, it
there?
does. It's not
all
much of a park,
disgraceful up in there,
Yeah.
where they cut that wood and
I know it.
left the tops and everything right there practically in the road.
And they cut that nice red pine. Well, that's what they did. That was one thing. They grew that. They planted that pine at the time.
They
right?
planted that pine. That's what the CCC boy did. They set them out, set the pine out, and they built the roads and cleared up. They cleared acres and acres and acres of underbrush. That was
They did.
quite
at the time.
attractive up there at one time.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You just can't see that now at all.
Supposed to have been a place for city people to go out and walk around and enjoy the forest, you know.
Huh. That was maybe before it was taken over by the Fish and Wildlife or something, because now the whole thing is geared towards making
Game management, yeah.
good game area.
Yeah.
So they mow those little strips.
See, there's 7,600 acres altogether, I think, Martinville, something like that, and there's quite a hunk of lots too. Something like 9,000 acres altogether, I believe I've read somewhere. Government got owns up in there.
Wow. So that was quite a. How many farms do you think it involved
Oh,
altogether? You have any idea?
well, you count them. I'll see if I can name them off. There would have been the Bellegardes, and the Royals, and the Whitcombs, and the old original cattle place where I lived, where I was born. And then Jimmy Palmer, and then been George Carter, and then Clarence Bryant, Arthur and Bert Stewart, and then up on top of the hill was Lafayette Stewart, the father, and then there was the two Walker places and Ted Eastman's, and there was out on the other end was Jesse Yaton lived there a while. What the heck was it? I can't remember the name of that place. That was one way out on the other end of it anyway. And then there was a Fred Stewart place and the Sproul place and Conforth, Thompson. That takes pretty well care of that area that we just went through today. Mm-hmm. And then we come back and we went up the Tomlo Foster place, the Foster place. And then I don't seem to remember of too many sets of buildings down from there down through to where you turn to go up to Frye Mountain Tower. But where we turned to the right and come back down, I stopped the road there and pointed where there was Alvin Kane's and John and Kit Tibbetts, the Jackson place where Paul's lives, and there was three there. And I guess that's, I mentioned the Dodge place, yeah. I guess that's it right there, as many as I can remember.
We used to go Blueberry and
Oh, that was the Tom Erskine place, yeah. Erskine place. That was a big place up in there, all over the top of the hill. So how many did we get?
Well, it's 20-something.
20-something, is that right?
Stanley Curtis.
Stanley Curtis, that's right too. He lived in on that road that yeah.
Maybe 25 or something.
Maybe 25.
Huh.
Because there's 2-3 sellers that I didn't know who lived on one road there.
Right.
'Cause Stanley Curtis, why I remember that is when we were kids, he was around selling Victrolas. These little Victrolas just about the size of that box there, and had them. And he had a demonstration. The whole crowd walked over to his place one day for he demonstrated that thing. That was the most amazing thing that us kids we ever heard of. Well, this Bellegarde woman, what was her name? Not Lucy, but Kathleen. Kathleen Bellegarde, she bought one. She bought 4 or 5 records, and one of them was this Caruso singing, I guess it was. And then she had the little rosewood casket and things like that, you know. And we used to sit and listen to them, seems like hours to time, they all wore out. And that's why I remember that so well up in there, because it was much 2.5, 3 miles from our place over there, you know. This Eli Stevens, he owned Spears Mountain. That was right in front of where we used to live. You could look across and you could see Spears Mountain. He had sheep pasture over there, and he used to drive his sheep over there in the summertime and leave them till come housing time in the fall. And I remember that used to be all covered with strawberries in the spring of the year, just white as snow with blossoms. People from miles around used to go over that strawberry.
That was all he had was land. But he
Yeah, that's all he had was land. He never had his buildings. The buildings still set. It's over on the Moss Road there where the two great big chicken houses are, and there's a great big house on the right, left-hand side.
On the Moss Road.
Moss Road, that's in where Moss Road's where Geneva lives.
Oh.
Yeah, they call it the Moss Road.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
What's his name?
Off, yeah.
Oh.
He has strawberries.
And then you said there was a machine shop up on the mountain.
Yeah, that was Arthur and Bert Stewart, yeah.
So there was more than just farms. There was some in your...
Oh, yeah, well, they had cattle, and they had a machine shop, and they sawed wood and things like that, you know, custom sawing.
Right.
Anything pick up $1, and they cut ice. They're the ones that I told you about that used to saw ice starting through the month of February, and
They had a sawmill too?
No, just a saw to saw
saw
ice.
rig.
A saw rig,
Right.
yeah.
Were there any sawmills up there?
No, but down here on Half Moon Stream, down through this side of the Moss Road, there was at one time there's three mills in there. The old dam sites are still there, and the only one that's left is down in Knox. The mill isn't working anymore. That's Joe Bryant's place. I used to work for him. And he used to saw lumber, and that's on that Half Moon Stream.
And your father had a blacksmith shop?
He had a blacksmith shop, yeah. Yeah, he's a wheelwright, and he shoe horses and things like that. And repair sleds and shoe sleds and pongs and wagon tires and things like that. Very interesting. All the old tools are still over home over Jackson now. He made a lot of his own tools too, you know. Pounded them out of the raw iron.
Did he work the blacksmith shop in Jackson as well?
No, he did some. Yeah, he did some. Not so much as he did in. See, he carried milk 3 days a week, and the off days he'd work in the blacksmith shop.
But do you have a relative that lives in the old home place?
Oh,
still?
yeah, brother. He don't live there, but he's fixing it up again. His brother got it, yeah. Yeah. No, the brother that owned it just died here 2 years ago.
Well, it's quite a story. It's hard to imagine what that place looked like. Even hearing about it, driving around up there.
The old Frye place, I told you about that. That's over on the other side of the mountain. That Frye Cemetery, Sunrise Cemetery, they call it the Frye Cemetery too. That was just a little ways up in there from where Virgil Fowles lives. It's in that general area, and this Colin, what's his name? David Colin, his wife. They've got a picture of it that somebody had, and they got a reproduction of it. And they said that was an awful nice set of buildings too.
The Frye farm?
Yeah, the old original Frye buildings, and that was where they got to that originally was a blaze trail. You know, years and years and years before they had a road in there. But this McCurson that used to live down here where we live, he married the daughter of one of the Fryes. Wasn't the old original ones, couldn't have been, because that was way back. Lizzie Frye, yeah. She come from over in that area. She was still, the Frye family was still living there when she was married McCurson. And this here down here is one of the older farms in Montville. That was, see, somewhere, 1847 that was built. McFarland farm. See, that used to be another McFarland farm down where that house is there in the field, and that one was McFarland.
It's taken ceiling down the house down there one time. Started pulling down things that had been stored up overhead in the attic, and kept pulling down these things and throwing them out the window. And after a while, we went down and put it all together. There was a huge loom, about 8 by 8, all handmade.
Yeah. Had the old bobbins whittled out. We still got them.
Had the names of the Farlands that.
Had the old hand bobbins, you know, where they used to
shuttle through there.
Yeah, shuttle through. Quite interesting.
Yeah.
We were at Smithsonian Institute and asked if they had any such thing. They had dozens of them, so.
Yeah, they didn't need another one, huh?
Didn't need another one. Made out of maple to make good firewood.
Yeah. Hate to do that, huh?
Hate to burn it up.
It's funny though how they packed it in overhead. All the walls with a little trap door that went over there.
Yeah.
So we didn't know there's anything up in there.
Right. They took it all apart.
Yeah. Quite big.
Yeah, because the main, I don't know what you call it, but the main thing was this big round, and about 4 feet.
I suppose every farm had one of those at one time.
Probably did.
Make the old homespun clothing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the old spinning wheels. They took the spinning wheels. McCurson's did when they moved out. But them old people, they used to make a lot of their own cloth, you know.
Yeah.
Especially wool, because they had usually had a flock of sheep.
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been fun back there.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So you were gone from the area then when they burned the houses.
Well, I was still in the area, but we wanted living over
living up to
there.
Jackson.
Then moved to Jackson.
Right.
Yeah.
So you don't remember seeing the places getting burned.
Yeah, I saw
do?
I
Oh,
saw
yeah.
Judge Carter place go.
Was that right?
Yeah. I don't know why that always stood out in my mind. So of course you probably see the smoke from a lot of them, but that one there you
Uh-huh.
could see the flames.
Uh-huh.
You could see the whole set of buildings.
Wasn't that Sproul place still in, on all this stuff where we had that time?
I should imagine that's probably the barn burned up there, didn't it?
Wasn't that part of the government land? How come
It
that
must have been.
was way afterwards when that burned?
They still lived there, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh no, they could. Maybe now, but it wasn't that time. No.
Huh.
No, they moved everybody right out. They didn't want anybody in there at all. Very efficient they were.
Was it enough money that they paid for people to find another place?
Well, it probably was, yeah, because places
Land was
didn't
cheap
go.
at that
They were
time.
rather cheap at that time.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can call it a take.
Call it a take.
Yeah. Thanks for your
Well,
time. Clayton.
you're welcome. I wish I could have a lot more tips. I could think of it.
I was gonna say, you should have been here taping on the day when Clarence Show came out. They sat here and talked.
Yeah.
That would have been an interesting
Yeah.
conversation.
You know Clarence?
I've met him just a couple times. Yeah. Been over to the mill there.
Yeah.
He has a lot of stories.
Does he?
Yeah. Awful nice fellow.
He's a nice guy. Yeah. He's still working the mill.
He got the mill going today, yeah. There's smoke coming out. Clarence gets up at 7 o'clock. Goes to work at 7 o'clock in the morning and works till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, takes an hour for his dinner just like he always did. He never.
So, how old of a man is he now?
70, 75, 76, ain't he?
Yeah.
He's older than I am.
Yeah. Huh. Old habits are hard to break, I guess.
Yeah. Well, he was always that way. I know one time he helped us remodel a house down here, and I'd come back in from the chicken house in the morning about 9 o'clock, have a cup of coffee and a cookie or a donut or something. Ask him to sit up and have one. Well, he didn't know whether the other or not. Well, and after a while he would consent to it. If it took 10 minutes, he'd work 10 minutes extra that night. So
Yeah.
that's Clarence. That's the way he
something.
was. Yeah.
That's amazing.
You don't find that today, you know.
No, that's right. That's right.
They
Now,
get,
he would have grown up on the farm that his brother had?
yeah. That was his.
That was the
That's
old
right. He was
family
born
place.
up there. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
End of interview. End of tape C846, Northeast Archives of Folklore and Oral History, accession number 2206.